Thanks, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. N. Suresh Babu. Please switch off your earphone. So mute your phone. Just a minute. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. N. Suresh Babu, Assistant Professor of Chemistry, Innovation Activity Coordinator of our college. It's my pleasure to welcome you all in this wonderful occasion. First of all, I would like to welcome respected Professor M. Nadraj, the principal of our college, in this movement. Welcome, sir. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome respected Professor S. Jayapal, sir, Vice Principal of our college, in this wonderful moment. Welcome, sir. I feel proud of welcome Ma'am Jyothirmayee. Jyothirmayee ma'am is an entrepreneur, angel investor, marketer, engineer and mother. Ma'am is founder and CEO of Hiveminds. She has been at the forefront of the data and digital marketing revolution in India. She has among the top 5 Facebook developers globally in the 2017. From the has used in the expertise to start up and scale startups and grow business. She is an alumnus of PESIT Bengaluru and worked in trilogy business software before starting her own entrepreneurial journey. Over the last 12 years as an entrepreneur, she has built, seen and support many business perfect there and wrote from 0 to 1. Creation is something that she enjoying deeply. Her company Hiveminds was acquired Madison Media in 2017, back then the second largest media agency in India. She operates as CEO and MD of Hiveminds. Today she is here give the talk to her entrepreneurship journey based on her own 2 startups and vast experience of having worked with the startup founders and venture capital in rapid growth startup. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, and we feel very happy for your presence here. Next, I would like to welcome respected HODs of all departments who are present here. It's due to immense pleasure to welcome all the faculty members of our college who are gathering here. Not but least, I welcome the students of our college who are here in this wonderful moment. On the auspicious occasions, we invite the chief guest, Jyothirmayee ma'am, to give lecture on My Story motivation session by successful innovator. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to all the faculty of the college, Principal and Professor Mr. Nataraj and Mr. Professor Jayapal for this opportunity for creating a forum in your college for, where you have invited entrepreneurs to come and speak and inspire your students. Thank you, Mr. Suresh Babu, who coordinated, Ms. Radhika ma'am, who initially contacted me, and Mr. Karthikeya sir for the introduction now. Hi everyone, all the students and of course the faculty, but I think largely I would love to speak to all the students. Do let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer questions at the end. I have a small presentation which might be easy for us to just go through in terms of around my journey itself. I hope it's inspirational for each one of you to start. First and foremost, I would like to first talk about like startups as a when we talk about startups, everybody talks about startup as a very these days, right? It's become like a very inspirational thing, and people have made it like, yeah, I mean, it is something to do. Just about 10-15 years ago, I know of many people who wouldn't join startups because they wouldn't get girls to get married, or it was a crazy run. It was something very unusual. My own mother, when I first quit a well-paying job to start on my own, called and said, you're getting a good salary. What madness has drove you to do this? Right? So I think I'm very happy that in India we are now very welcoming of the fact that somebody is taking a risk and trying to do something different, something new. And if all goes well, it can be a wonderful success, both in terms of their what they achieve, the impact, and the money and fame is a byproduct, right? So I want to ask all of you, before I start this talk, one or two can answer. What in your view, why should somebody start? Why should you do a startup? What do you think is there when you do a startup? What is it that should drive somebody to start up? Anybody from the student circle or whoever is online? Please unmute and speak. It's fine. I can try to. I mean, I'm sure all of you are able to understand. If you want, I have broken Tamil to speak. Loro, drive. What is the drive for a startup? Any? Yes, Abhi or somebody speaking. I think I can't hear you. I think Naveen or somebody took over the screen. Is that desirable? Sir Karthikeya sir, the screen went to a phone from one Mr. Naveen Rasu. I think student started sharing, I think. Should I mean, that's okay. As long as you are able to see my screen, I'll proceed. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
54 students present, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'll just. I'll share this again. Yeah. You're able to see my screen, no? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Jyothirmayee. I have been in the industry for about 18 years. In that, only till the age of 25, I worked at different companies. And for the remaining years, I have been on my entrepreneurial journey. It's two startups that I have founded so far. The current company that I run is my second startup. I have also invested in 8+ companies so far, and I have had one exit to Madison, which is the second largest agency in India. So yeah, like many other startup founders, I'm also able to successfully make some monetary benefit, like make some money out of this entire journey and everything. But more significantly, we have worked with so many companies, and we are very happy to say today we are like the 5th largest agency in the digital media today in India. Right? So I do come from a small town. Right. My village is Ammasandra. Aditya Patna is a small industrial town next to it. I studied in the school which was run by the Birlas there, and so I wanted to talk about this from where we come from, right? And it's not if you go about looking at many successful founders, you might think in the larger scenario you will see some good colleges, you will see a lot of IITians, IAM people and others. But if you go further down and see where they come from, people do come from, the very same backgrounds that you come from. My parents were teachers. My dad was a lecturer. My mother was a high school teacher. Right. So a lot of things to do with startups has nothing to do with the overall background of a person. In fact, in my experience, I have seen people coming from small towns have a lot of courage, have a lot of stability to do something like a startup. So I did want to talk to you guys, or to talk to you all about this. Now, in 2011, this was my team. We were about 7 people. This was the very second year of our existence as a company. This is Hiveminds, and this is Hiveminds today. This is my team in 4 different locations, spread across 4 different locations. We were recently together for an outing, and this is my team today. So over the 10 years, we have grown, 11 years or almost, we have grown phenomenally, working with many big companies in the startup world. So today I'm here to talk to you all about my journey as a startup entrepreneur. I also want to tell you that the startup doesn't mean, you're doing only the startup and this is me. Right, as an entrepreneur, I've been able to go do some bit of skydiving. I am a certified scuba diver. I do a bit of farming myself. I come from an agricultural family, so I'm very fond of what we grow, and whenever I get time, I do go onto our farm and do some work there. I also do some mountaineering, right? So I hope this is something of an inspiration to you, that doing the startup, even though it's some bit of mad passion, right? So what is common is whatever you do, you need to do it with a lot of passion. You need to be completely involved in what, right? As a person, what you do has to be completely with high involvement. And there is also, whenever you do a startup, there is also a bit of madness. Yes, sir. Is there? Hello. Is the audio clear?
Clear, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Yes. Continue.
Continue, ma'am.
Yeah. So there is a bit of madness to it, right? So why is this whole thing of madness? It's not really madness. There is a certain hope. There's a certain hope that I believe in this. Right? If you have to take very extreme examples, who would have thought that Elon Musk, who is not from space engineering background, would go and build something which NASA did not think of. Right? NASA, with all the money they had, all the talent they had. So there is a certain hope that I will do the unbelievable. Right? Even if you think of Steve Jobs or anybody, he went and did Pixar. Apple is something that he built, right? So which is everybody knows and all that. Pixar, which is all the movies that we see today from Disney, right, is heavily influenced by Pixar. So somebody like Steve Jobs, who is an expert in hardware design, goes and builds something in the movie, in the animation movies and everything, and Pixar becomes so good that Disney acquires it, right? So there is a certain bit of hope, optimism, a bit of irrationality and faith in when you do a startup. It is necessary to believe. So the single biggest thing after passion is to believe that it is possible. It's an extremely difficult journey if you do not have the belief, because a lot of things don't go as you planned, and it needs that element. So if you think you should do a startup so that you can become popular, or if you can make a lot of money, or if you think you can do a startup so that you have power, then they are all the wrong reasons to do a startup. Because the startup journey is so hard, because there are so many decisions you're making for yourself, for the company, for your team. Any of this motivation will be very small, to go through the amount of difficulty that you have to overcome in that context. So I have a very small reference. This is me in the Himalayas on one of my treks. So I'll just read what I have written there. A must-required trait for an entrepreneur is to be irrational. What else can explain the struggle for any pride, money, or fame, right? It's a madness towards creation of impact. If you are driven towards impact, then it makes sense, then you can put up with it. Or maybe it is about perceived success in the society. So all of this perceived success in the society, the fame, the money, is a secondary outcome, or is it just about a way of life that you obsess with? You want to live your life as an entrepreneur. You don't want to be working under anybody. You want to be your own boss, right? So, or you want to not be restricted by anything that anyone else is saying. Then also maybe thinking of doing a startup would make a lot of sense. In this journey, what would define is a bit of it's a bit of focus and everything that you might have to follow through, right? In my startup that I have built over the last 12 years, as you saw the photograph, we started with a very small team, and today we have close to 300 people, and we operate across so many different verticals. It is a bit of very focused, high amount of effort that goes in, but as you build your team stands by you. Right? There are a lot of sleepless nights. It's a startup is like a baby that keeps you awake. This is my own baby though. This is my son when he was born, like in his very first year. But a lot of people refer to startup as a baby. The reason being, you do lose your sleep thinking, what can I do next, right? And when it starts small with an idea. What matters is what is it? Do you have the skills for it? Is it the right time? Right? And is it the right place to start? So I will now talk a bit about how my career was. I graduated from engineering in 2004 with a computer science degree. I worked as a developer in Trilogy. This is how I came in contact with Ms. Radhika ma'am. And in 2006, I joined my first startup. This was not my own startup, but I worked for a startup called VRead in Gini, where we built VRead. And this got acquired by Lulu Publishers, which eventually got acquired by Flipkart. Right? So this was my first, the ringside view of a startup, where not just ringside. I mean, I was involved in the startup, but I was not the founder. So here is my first time I came across founders. I worked with them as the second employee. During this phase, I became a top developer worldwide. Facebook had just launched their platform. It was a great time for startups in the US. In India, it was still too early. But however, with the motivation of what I had just experienced as a amazing experience of working with a startup, I went on to join a colleague of mine to start ReviewGist. Now, ReviewGist journey started in 2007. The startup was giving a gist of a review, like a summary or a small, condensed version of a review. Instead of reading, today you all read reviews on Amazon and Flipkart and everything. Back then, CNET, there were some gadget review websites which used to put reviews of if you want to buy a camera or a laptop or something. We used to read all those reviews and make it into a small gist, and because of which people can understand which is a good product. We had a natural language query system where you could query it as what's the best camera for night shooting, or what's the best phone with a high battery life, right? And it would be able to answer those questions. And this is back in 2007, and we were targeting US market. And it was all going well. We had an angel fund of around 50 lakh rupees. Back in those days, that was a lot of money. And so we had built the product, we launched it, it was going reasonably well. We weren't really making too much money, but we had good amount of users, we were not able to monetize. And right then and there, boom, the Lehman Brothers crash happened. And if you would not be aware, 2008 was a recession time, was a massive downtime. So because of which we couldn't raise our funds, and that startup came to a bit of a halt around that time. This was one of my most difficult times that I have gone through in life. We were on a complete negative bank balance, right? So it really tested me in terms of how you deal with life, how you deal with success and everything. Is there a question there, Mr. Prakash? I think somebody raised hand. If there's a question, you could possibly type in, or yeah. So can I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So in ReviewGist, the thing is, 2008 was a massive crash in terms of Indian industry at that, globally, the global financial industry, and then it affected India and everything. So there was no money to raise funds. So this company came to a halt, but it was the most difficult thing. Today, we make few crores of profit. And a lot of people ask me, how is it that I am the way that I am as a very simple person? And the answer is, I have been through bankruptcy, which has taught me a lot. Immediately as an entrepreneur, success comes very rarely, but failures are easy too. If you can live through failures, if you can take the failure in the same stride, you would be able to do something, because at your lowest, how you behave, how you can cope is what defines your highest moment. If you cannot live through the low period, then you might not be able to go into a like a high moment that might happen few years down the line for a startup. So that first failure with my first startup taught me a lot more than what I have learned in my second startup. Even though my second startup is considered a success, given it got acquired, I have sold 51% of my shares for a good amount of cash exit, right? And so I think it is very important to remember that Then on, it was a little phase of difficulty where I have worked as a consultant for many companies, including Bank Bazaar in Chennai, Tutavista in Bangalore, Varsay, which is Daily Hunt in Bangalore. And one of the companies that I consulted for, which is Tutavista, was one of the biggest exits India has seen at that point of time. They got acquired by Pearson for 220 million US dollars, and that was a very big exit. And post that is when I thought of starting my second startup, and that is Hiveminds, which you just saw, right? And Hiveminds today is one of the top digital marketing agencies in India. We also have a lot of technology which is proprietary, and we work with around 80, 90, close to 90 different clients, and we are a team of around 270 spread across 4 offices. Our mission is to help brands and companies have outstanding digital presence and growth. Right? And I'll skip this part. This is more of who we are as a company, not little less about my own journey there. Right? We have built a company with a certain value system, and that's helping us today because clients absolutely love us, what we do and how we work. But in the same time, we have a phenomenal team, people who absolutely enjoy the work. They're celebrated for the work. They go out as friends. A lot of fun and activity in the company. So we are one of the agencies to have the Great Place to Work certification. And as work, we have been part of all of these companies in becoming unicorns. Big Basket as a company started in 2011. We have been partnered with them from 2012. So for last 10 years, we are the marketing agency for Big Basket. For MobiKwik, we are the agency from 2011. For QRFit from 2018. So a good 5.5 years now. And for CoinSwitch again from pretty much the 2018-19 year when they started, right? So we've been the agency for all of these companies from the start of their journey, and today they're all unicorns in the startup industry. Particularly Big Basket is known to be both doing well in terms of their monetary performance, and also in terms of relatively, because many startups are also looked down upon for making losses and everything, but Big Basket is a very, very stable company there. Right. At the same time, we have started working with a lot of the large companies. We are the agency for the big companies like Marico, Crompton, Greaves, Pidilite, and ITC, and Titan Watches, Tanishq, Sonata, and many others, and recently Airtel and Max Life Insurance. We also worked with many of the game changers in the industry. Who today is having, I don't know how many of you have used Cool. They have local language Twitter, right? A regional language Twitter, NPCI, Kuvera, Sugar, and many others. So today Hiveminds is very successful. We work with who's who in the industry and everything. But the journey of 12 years had its own challenges in terms of how do you build a team, right? And I would like to talk about very specific few instances in the journey, which might be very encouraging for you to understand what happens. As you can see, the oldest of our customers are startups. Around the time when in 2013 or something, we were working with some startups, and one of the investors started building a marketing, like a team of their own internally. One of my second line person, Sushant, called me in the night at 9:30 and said, "Jyoti, what will happen now? We will not have any business. So we might have to shut down if this continues." I said, "No, nothing like that. We will find something else. Don't worry." And I kept the phone. It was in the night, around 9:30 or so. And immediately after I kept the phone, it was like a sinking feeling. Oh yeah, this can happen, right? I know of many founders where this has happened. Take the example of Safari car rentals. They were doing car rentals. outstation, and then Ola and others came in, where nobody no longer searches for taxi on Google. They just open Ola, right? So how would these people survive? So they have rentals in extremely small towns. Like Ola Uber might work in Chennai and maybe Coimbatore and Madurai or something. Like even I don't know in Thanjavur, right? If you have to go from Thanjavur to some other outstation place, if an Ola would be available in all of the cities inside Tamil Nadu, right? So Savari has captured that market. So as a startup, what happens is when something happens, like even something very large like CoinSwitch right now has gone into a problem because of the cryptocurrency problem. Right, and as founders you cannot give up, so you will keep working on it, you will figure out something else. Even for Big Basket, somebody as successful as Big Basket, imagine what founders must have gone through when Amazon launched. Right, Amazon launched fresh. Amazon is also delivering grocery, Flipkart is also delivering grocery, and they have more money. They are now in part of international companies. They are part of the Walmart and the big Amazon conglomerate and everything. So Big Basket can get very threatened. So one of the things as a startup founder is to not get deterred by any of this, right? So 42% of the startups fail, either because of market need or not having money or not having team, like the right team or some raw material or something of that, the resources required to do this, right? But how can you plan where it doesn't get into a failure kind of a scenario, right? One is the team. I unfortunately on my second startup, I started alone. But my first startup I had a co-founder. It's extremely important and useful to have somebody along the journey. Yes. Tell me. Somebody along the journey, because it's such an arduous task. I also had this one book which I wanted to show you. I'll do that right in a little while. It's better to have a very, very sound team. So I'm very lucky that in the very first picture that you saw, I have my one of my employees. I would rather call him a partner, right? Who is my third employee, who has been with us, who is still with us, and it's been 11 years since he has worked with us, and that's a very strong support. Right? Today I go to him. When I hired him, he was a very young kid, and for almost like very low salary and everything. And today he gets a 500 crore salary. And I go to him a lot of times for advice. And like, Venu, what shall we do? This thing has happened, and he's grown to be a partner over the years. So I think the team is very, very important. Having a team you can rely on, a trust and everything. And then there is, of course, the product or something that you have in mind. Now the product, right? Like it can be something very innovative, or it can be the usual things. You might be trading, you might be buying from somewhere, selling somewhere. But I think the way you think of it is what is going to make a difference. Is what is going to make a difference. I'll give you an example right after, which is a very funny example. And I think the other part is the market. In which market are you thinking to launch your product? So one of the example is, let's think of this as a startup idea. Dog walking, right? Now this is a very funny idea because this is a real startup that started in the US, right? Now in the US, people have a lot of pets. They don't have time to walk the dogs in the evening, and they absolutely are ready to spend so much money. Now, if you go to some of the cities in India also, like come to Bengaluru, you will see dog spa and everything, right? So in different markets, some of these things have started working. But you cannot think of a startup idea just because you have a dog and you don't have time to walk it, and you think that, okay, let me start a startup saying dog walking service and pay X rupees like Dunzo or anything and allow let people do this. So this is the problem with the market, right? Like the idea might be fine, but for a different country or a different city or a different area region, you need to really understand which market are you working with. Now, if you say, any such idea, what it needs is a lot of sprint. You have to keep changing the idea such that till you get to a point where it is working fine, right? And at that point of time, you will not be in the 42%. You will not be in the failure. So my own journey, I'll take a moment to talk about my own journey in the last 12 years, where we have adapted and improvised. We had a product which we built between 2015 and 17, and we had a product in the beginning. We had a product in 2011, right? So I think when the 2011 product did not work, we had to completely improvise and go back into consulting and do all this. But 2015, when we had a chance to build, we spent a good 1.5 years with a 6-people team building the best of the things. When we launched it with a big bang. We got about close to 600 signups on day one, right? So this is the whole improvisation and scale that you can do in the journey. So you might have to do something of that nature. Now, like less than 10% of the startups, achieve a state where they can call that, yes, we have done what we started for, right? And very few, like even very few very few founders make money out of it. So one of the thing is, this is a very, very hard journey. So there is a book, what is visible on your screen. This is like a startup Bible for me. Right, like the Ben Horowitz has a blog, The Hard Things About Hard Things. It is an exceptional book. I would encourage all of you to read it if you wish to start. This can be a starting point to understand what it takes to run a startup, right? And before I go into what this means, I would like to take a minute in terms of the good things that can happen in a startup. Now, we were talking about Big Basket, right? So the very first company, the Indian company that worked with us was Mobiquik. And then through some connection, I got to Big Basket. The moment we had Big Basket, the word had spread. We worked with pretty much who's who of the startup world. We worked with Zoomcar and Woonik, Simplilearn and many others. Now, while we did all this, we were not able to work with any of the large companies. The large companies like Marico and Pidilite and all of them. So over a period of time, I started getting very tired as a founder that, okay, whatever I do, I'm not able to get to these companies. What do I do? And around that time, we were launching the product and all of that was happening. And one fine day we got a call from Bombay, and I was in the US at that time, and we got a call from Bombay saying, we are looking for companies which are in this space, and because one of this, Madison as a company was a very large company, Sambil Sarai is a legend in the industry. We don't have the digital marketing knowledge, so we want to invest in a company or acquire a company which is doing this. And 2017, I did make a few crores, like in terms of exit, we had a few $1 million in exit. And we exited the part of the share, part of the company, but we continue to work. And today, we have all of this claimed. Many of those big names that you see, Domino's and NPCI, ICICI and everything. So it's almost like the 2 months, if this had not happened, I don't know where we would have been, right? So a lot of small things can absolutely change the way. Some call, you might miss the call, you might get a call when you're traveling, and that call can change everything that is going to happen with the startup. So I think that's what makes the startups very risky. At the same time, that's what it's like a roller coaster ride, right? So you go on a high, you suddenly go on a low, and you just have to maintain your mental state to be very determined, to have a hope that everything will work towards the end. What I have also seen over a period of time is it compounds. If you stick to it, eventually it does work, right? Because there is a lot of improvisation you would have done over the years where it will work. And in this journey, overall, the biggest success, while we work with all of these very large companies, Escorts and Stanley Black & Decker, Bajaj, and many others, my biggest happiness, I spoke about our village, was when the Gram Panchayati called me and honored me. Right, I have won many awards in Indian IAMI, Indian Association of Marketers, Abbeys. Just yesterday we won 3 more awards. What you see, Maddies, one of our biggest things in our industry, right? But this one award where our Gram Panchayati gave an honor was extremely gratifying, because I think for coming from a small place and to be successful and to be able to go back to your place as a very successful founder, right, is something which will give you that gratification in terms of you have been able to make a change. I think now I am at a phase where I would like to give back to the to the society and back to anything for my village or anything for students like you to help out. And so I think it's in the startup world, the only thing is pay forward. You cannot go back and thank some investor, somebody who helped you. So the only thing you can do is to help somebody ahead. So you pay forward from what you gained. And that is my journey as a startup founder. I would not take more time. I'm happy to answer any 1 or 2 questions that can come from you. Otherwise, I think this is my 12 years of the journey, where we've grown to be one of the top agencies in India. We manage 2% of the overall media share in India. We manage 650 crores of digital media. India has about 26,000 crores, and we manage around 650 crores, so close to almost 3%. 2.5-3% of India's. Right. So this is the startup journey. I don't know how much relevance it had. Some interesting tidbits is I don't have an MBA. The startup was the MBA. Learned it everything on the startup journey, and especially my first startup where we failed. Itself taught me a lot on people management, on business and everything. So don't be deterred if you're starting as just an engineer. Even Sachin Bansal doesn't have an MBA, right? Many of the very successful startup founders don't have an MBA, right? Startup founders do come from small places, not always from big places. And I didn't have money. I was placed in one of the top paying companies out of my college, but 2009, I had literally zero money in my bank, right? So it's not money that makes startups, it's your passion and your skill and your determination to succeed. So with that, I would like to conclude my talk. Do let me know if you have questions. Yes. And I can understand Tamil, so if any of you want to speak in Tamil, I can understand. I can't speak so well.
Student, யாராவது மேடத்துக்கிட்ட ஏதாவது கொஸ்டின்ஸ் ரைஸ் பண்ணுவா, இங்கிலீஷ்ல ரைஸ் பண்ணுங்க.
Tamil தெரியும் நாம. If any queries to ask them, ask them.
You have a very quiet bunch of students there, sir.
Ask any queries, both
I hope it was. Okay. Sir, I think if the students don't have many questions, it's fine. I will take this offline. Yeah.
Ma'am, what about business gain, ma'am?
Sorry, ma'am. I think, yeah. See, business, of course, ours, as I said, our market is around 26,000 crores in India, and we have grown to be a 650 crore company today. So, in the sense of business, like let's say Big Basket, right? The very first month, the 1 lakh rupees that we spent for Big Basket went from my personal credit card. And today Big Basket is a unicorn. They are a very large company. All of this, we have seen it up close, the founders, we have worked with the founders. Everything comes from persistence. There are many times Big Basket could have said, okay, this is difficult, let me give up. We have seen it up close. I think the founders have been consistent. They also came from prior experience. All the more supermarkets that you see were built by the Big Basket founders as part of their previous startup. So most entrepreneurs, I think, do extremely well on their second startup also, a lot of times. So the first startup, even for the Big Basket founders, has been a tough one. So now all of them are in their second journey, and it is an extremely successful journey. So the business gain will happen if you can stick with your goal, and it would grow. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sir. I think I'll.
If any queries to ask them, students.
கொஸ்டின் கேட்கலாம். அவங்களுக்கு தமிழ் நல்லாவே தெரியும்னு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க.
தமிழ் எனக்கு புரியுது. பேச மாட்டேன், அந்த ஃப்ளூயன்சி இல்ல.
ஓகே மேம், ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ.
Okay, so thank you so much. I hope the students do go about taking some journeys in the. I have another book which I can talk about, The Unusual Billionaires. This is a book of all the 7 extraordinary journey out of India. This is a book that talks about Pidilite, Bajaj, Crompton, Marico. All of these are the old-time startups, right? They're all very big companies today. This book is called The Unusual Billionaires. I will put it. I can show it, but I don't know if it will be in the reverse. I think The Unusual Billionaires. So this is another book I would encourage your students to read. It would be very nice to read this book. It's about Indian, like the big companies today, all the 30-40-year-old companies, and their startup journey is documented here. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I hope the students are inspired, and thank you so much for this. Yeah.
Ma'am, may we start the vote of thanks?
Yes, okay.
Start பண்ண மேடம்.
Good evening to one and all present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries assembled here. First of all, I thank to all the authorities of this institution, the respected principal, Professor Dr. M. Nadraj sir, and the Vice Principal, respected Professor Dr. S. Jaipal sir, for support vision and commitment in conducting this innovation council cell successfully. On behalf of our principal, vice principal, coordinator, and all the participants, I would like to thank to our chief guest, Mrs. JT Jyothirmayee ma'am, founder, angel investor, entrepreneur, CEO at Hiveminds, Bengaluru at Karnataka, who honored this function with her inspirational thoughts, ma'am, who despite her busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion, ma'am.
Thank you.
She delivered a wonderful lecture on motivational session by successful innovators. It's an excellent session by successful, excellent speech and very nice presentation, ma'am. She has pointed out patience, hope, faith, building strong value across their business, marketing products, and how to minimize failure to sprint. I also express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. N. Suresh Babu sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Coordinator in Innovation Cell, for his valuable contribution and continuous support. My heartfelt thanks to the heads of the various departments and all the faculty for their guidance and encouragement. I express my special thanks to the program coordinators and Dr. R. Radhika ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Mrs. J. Ayyappan sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, and Mr. N. Karthikeyan sir, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, for your valuable support and become this program memorable success. I would like thanks to our students, coordinators, and members of the Innovation Cell for showing interest in covering the event. I thank all the distinguished invites who are present here. I thank all the participants for their active participation and your cooperation in making this function a resounding success. Finally, I would like to thank all of you to be a part of this program. Thank you one and all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.